You thought you could get out of statue collecting. You even stopped watching the Extreme channel. But you've shown me that's impossible. You couldn't live with your own failure. So where does that bring you? Back to me. Normally when I review a statue, it's not personal. But today I'm going to review it, and I'm going to enjoy it. Very, very much.
As the Extreme channel is pushing towards 50,000 subscribers, these are just a few of the statues we are giving away on the journey there. If you want to know how to win one, stay tuned for later in the video. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Today we are reviewing Queen Studios 1/4 scale Thanos Endgame Deluxe statue. That's right, if you've been living under a hole, Thanos is a comic book character, one of the most powerful Marvel characters ever. I've always been a huge fan of Thanos growing up because Silver Surfer, one of his big nemesis, was actually my favorite character and still is to this day. So I was ecstatic years ago when they introduced him into the MCU or the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And they've been making tons of statues of Thanos since then. Both movie-based, comic-based, and even just some weird base crap. I mean, can you have too many Thanos statues? So as I said, this is from Queen Studios. Queen Studios is a company that recently got into the game. They recently had their 2-year anniversary, and I'm a big Queen Studios fan. Now, before we dive into the review, I'm going to let you know I am actually disappointed with this piece. I don't think it lives up to Queen Studios' quality. We're going to talk about that in the Extreme review, because I've had a lot of amazing pieces from Queen Studios. My most recent piece you can check out is this life-size Gal Gadot Wonder Woman bust. And I've had dioramas from them, 1/4 scale pieces, other life-size busts, because this is 1/4 scale, meaning it's based off of Josh Brolin in Avengers Endgame, and it's shrunk down 4 times smaller. So let's just jump in and start reviewing this guy with the traditional categories we use, starting with concept. Now this concept isn't incredibly creative, because it already exists. This is an exact scene from Avengers Endgame right before the big battle ensued, as Iron Man, Thor, and Captain were walking towards Thanos. So Thanos just blew up the Avengers lair, they just snapped everybody back, spoiler alert, and by the way, in the movie Titanic, it sinks. And Queen Studios recreated that. On the base here, you have a pile of rubbish and garbage and building parts because again, Thanos' ship just destroyed Avengers headquarters. So you see stuff everywhere. And Thanos is sitting there in his battle armor. He is ready to fight. In Thanos' mind, this is years before Infinity War. So he hasn't even found the stones yet because he traveled through time to meet them here. And he's sitting on a sewer pipe, which is kind of weird, but hey, he's adaptable. He makes good what he has. And what's fantastic about this statue, if you're a big comic book guy, you know that not only is Thanos extremely powerful, but he is a huge strategist. It's probably one of his biggest abilities. So he is sitting there contemplating, thinking, because he wants to kill people. That's what he likes to do. They didn't really talk about it in the movie, but he's trying to please his lady, Lady Death. I wish they would have tied that in a little bit more. But he's sitting there waiting for the oncoming battle. He knows what's going to happen. Very, very smart guy. And there's a few different portraits, but they all kind of give the similar serene expression. Someone who's about to go against some of the most powerful people on Earth, and he isn't even worried. So I think they took that snapshot from the movie and they knocked it out of the park. In regards to their goal, I think it's a 5 out of 5. But in regards to concept in general, I think it's a little boring. But I did know what I was buying, so I'm still going to average it about 4 out of 5 on the Extreme scale for concept. Design, I think they did a pretty good job too. Again, there's not a lot to it, but let's look at the unboxing and assembly first. It was actually a very large box, which kind of surprised me, but I guess it shouldn't have. Art box, Queen Studios always does an awesome job. This is the front of it. The back is a close-up picture of the statue, and then the top just signifies Avengers Endgame, where this is from. Upon opening the box, they have some foam, and of course they have the certificate of authenticity. that just talks about what it is and the detail that goes into it. They didn't actually have the edition size, which surprised me. But there's the foam and the straps, and it was just one layer. Everything fit in one layer. No damages, which was fantastic. All right, so Queen Studios made two versions. One version has this portrait right here, and that's all it comes with. Then the premium or deluxe or whatever the hell you want to call it, the one I have, has this additional portrait with a little bit of a smirk. And honestly, I think I like them both equally, so I don't think this is a premium or bust by any means. Now, another display option you can do, and I haven't tried it yet here, so it'll be interesting to see how it works, but they've actually padded the inside of his helmet, so I assume you could actually put it on him. So let's see what that looks like. As you saw, it's actually a separate proximity base piece for this sword to go in. Now, I own a custom sword just like this. You can actually check out the review here with a few other custom pieces with my Sideshow Thanos on throne, which, as a spoiler, I think is way better than this statue. Let's get the dimensions. So this is with the proximity piece right here. You're probably about 22 inches wide. And it's about the same width, a little bit less, maybe 2 inches less without that. The deepest part is about 17 or 18. For exact dimensions, go to Queen Studios' website. And you're 20.5 inches or so, maybe a hair under that. Again, no pun intended, since Thanos doesn't have any hair. Do you think he naturally doesn't have hair? Or does he straight razor that shit every morning? I'm going with the latter. When it comes to design, that's really it. Like I said, not too complex. Now, I haven't talked about likeness of the portrait yet because we're going to include that in the paint and sculpt. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. There's no issues with it. I like that you can display the portrait separately down here. The only weird thing about this extra display is they wrote QS for Queen Studios on the back of it. I didn't really quite understand that. Let's take a picture. Now we're going to dive into the paint and sculpt, and this is where I was disappointed by Queen Studios. Check out why. So these are truly my fresh thoughts. He was just unboxed. Let's start with the portrait. So this is, again, the standard portrait. I think the likeness is spot on. I wouldn't say it 100%, but pretty close, as we discussed, even though we really haven't discussed that yet. The battle damage looks fantastic. I really like the grimace color they chose and the ball sack chin. The eyes seem a little small. They do look fantastic, but they definitely seem a little bit small. And especially like looking close on this guy, it's almost hard to see his eyes. See him right there? He almost looks like he's looking at me. He's about to mess me up. So portraits, I think they did a really nice job on it. I'm a little partial to the custom portrait that I have on my Sideshow Thanos on throne. You can check out that review. But let's start at the base here. Sculpt, I think, looks okay. I was expecting a little bit more. I don't think they did a great job nailing that dirt effect. I really don't. It's coming a little bit darker on the camera here, but it doesn't look like real concrete. It looks more like a toy, which kind of surprises me with Queen Studios. You know, colors, it's hard to, that was a very dark scene the entire time, so it's kind of hard to abstract too many colors of what's going on. And you have a few broken pieces over here. You don't know what those are, whether that's part of the building. Obviously sitting on a huge sewer pipe here. Looks good. Not amazing though. Not typical what you see in Queen Studios. Granted, you're never going to be looking at the back of this, but it's an okay variation. I don't love it. Let's look at the sword here. I am really impressed with the sword. The paint and sculpt on it, like we talked about, I love the wear, the detailed design. And again, I have a custom one that's very similar to this, but I do like this one better. And it adds a little bit of color to this statue, like lighter color, so everything's not so dark and morbid. And of course, that's who Thanos is. Now moving on to Thanos though, let's look at his gold armor. I'm not digging the paint. It looks like it's caked on. That surprises me. There's plenty of battle damage, mostly just scuffs in there. And there is some shading. You can see some brown shading in there. It doesn't look too terribly dirty. Granted, this is before the fight started, so I'll buy that. And even like the pieces of his dress or the pieces I put in here, well, I can tell by feeling them that they're a little plasticky. They kind of are. His outfit too, nothing phenomenal. There's no micro detail in here. So if you look close, it's nothing that we're used to seeing in some of these high-end statues. And maybe that's why it's thrown me off a little bit. A little bit of blood in the sewer, I just noticed. His skin, we'll look at it again. I think the color is nice. I think they chose that right. It's weird how it's reflecting off, the lights are actually reflecting off the base and how dark everything is. You really want to put a lot of light on this guy when you light him up. I think the anatomy is done well. You know, Thanos was a huge guy, and you can only really see some of the muscles right there, and then, you know, some of the details in his hands. His fingernails look really nice. But they didn't go overboard on it, which was good. And even his armor underneath the gold armor, so kind of the pants right there, they're this lighter black color. I would almost put a little bit of green in there. You can see it in the camera right there. Kind of this layering on, looks all right. And same thing with his armor right here, you know, but really, unless you're having this up high, you're not going to see down here too much. Again, a few scores on his armor from past battles, not only the scratches, but it looks good. Not amazing though, and maybe it's just my expectations because Queen is such a good company, but I'm not feeling the paint and sculpt as much as I thought I would. So, let's get some grades on this. All right, so paint. Ugh. It's a rough one. I'm debating between a 2 or 3, believe it or not. I don't think it's as bad as a 2, so I'm going to go ahead and give it a 3. I think it's very average, substandard for what I would expect out of Queen Studios, but not bad. Sculpt doesn't impress me much more either. Like I said, I don't see a lot of the micro detail that I like to see in a work of art like this. It looks a lot better from, 2 feet away. Up close, I'm not seeing some of those things, so I think it's just a 3 out of 5 on the paint. Now, as we jump into value of this piece, this is a little bit difficult for me for a few reasons. Number one, I told you they made 2 edition sizes. Of the premium with the extra head here, it was 776. Of the regular version, I don't know how many they made. Also, I don't know the exact retail prices anymore because it's kind of hard to decipher on the websites. Also, this was not licensed for the US, so you had to go through a third party. For this piece, I went through Spec Fiction. I bought tons of Queen Studios and XM pieces from them. They do a fantastic job. I don't get discounts or free stuff for saying that. It's just true. But I believe the retail was right around $1,000, $950 or $1,000 for the regular version. Then you paid a few $100 more for this head, which is hard to justify that much money. And then you got to pay for shipping. So I can't remember how much economy was, but express shipping, what I paid for, was damn near $600. So you're spending $1,500, give or take, depending which version you got and what shipping method you used, for this 1/4 scale statue. Now this is huge. I think it's scaled correctly because Thanos was a big guy. So you're getting a lot for your money. I don't think the value is that great. As popular as the MCU was and Thanos was in the MCU, and I still think this is the best MCU Thanos statue out there. I've owned one before and I've seen quite a few others. I still think the value is a 3 out of 5 on this piece. So originally I was passing on this. It was an easy pass for me. It doesn't fit with my collection. I don't collect Avengers unless they're on a throne. He's kind of on a throne. I mean, he's on a sewer pipe, which is kind of like a turlet. That's my throne here. Then the premium version almost sold out in like 2 days, so I jumped on board with the hype and I nabbed him. And I don't have any regrets, but I don't think he has the X factor that I hoped for. So originally, I just nabbed him because of the hype. Then as he was coming, I got more and more excited because Queen Studios actually pushed him out pretty quick. And sometimes when you have something this big, it's hard to get it out quick.
That's what she said.
Well, I don't think he has the X factor. I think he's a weak 4 out of 5 statue. And I know some people are going to disagree with me. Remember, 3 is still a good score. 3 still means you're happy with your purchase. I just don't believe it's above ordinary when I've had 400 or 500 statues on this table. I know what you guys think. Am I totally missing the ball? Am I being too judgmental? Throw that down in the comments below, because then you can take a stab at me and you also might win a statue. We will be giving all of these statues away, plus additional ones at every 5,000 subscriber milestone. To win one of these statues, all you have to do is make sure you've liked this video, you've subscribed to the channel, you've hit that bell notification, and then just drop a comment below. Every 5,000 subscriber milestone, we are going to do a random drawing and pick a random comment and give one of these statues away, plus some additional ones I'm not showing right now. The more videos you comment on, the higher your chances are to win. Thanks so much, guys. I really appreciate you tuning in. I was going to post a Ryu video today, but that's delayed 2 days, so make sure to stay tuned for that by hitting that subscribe and bell notification. Also, if you could drop me a like and leave a comment, that really helps as well. I'll talk to you soon. Take care of yourself.